Mr. Prime Minister of Morocco, Your Excellencies, dear John and John, I thank you very much for this invitation, participating in this conference of economists. It is a great pleasure to be back in Malta after 10 years, and I would like just to share you an information I had when I'd been in Malta, coming from Greece. Greeks were in Malta in 1,000 years before Christ, and they called Malta Melita from Meli, which means honey in Greece. So I was really very happy to find, again, links with this very beautiful island in the middle of Mediterranean. What I would like to do in my allotted time, is to have a brief look back, a look to the present, and contribute some policy thoughts to our agenda. And if I do all this in 7 minutes, I want an award. Let's go back to the 90s, where Europe has set forth significant strategies and ambitious targets for 2010. Keep in mind this year, 2010. The Euro-Mediterranean Partnership, the Barcelona process, which was a multilateral cooperation project linking policy, economy, and society, among other things, had a very concrete goal. I recall the ambitious target for the area to become a free trade zone by 2010. Similarly, the Lisbon strategy called for goals in 1999, called for goals such as the EU would be the most competitive economy in the world with full employment in 2010 again. We all recall that 2010 was the year we witnessed the Arab Spring, and the Eurozone got deep into the financial crisis. Both the Lisbon strategy and Barcelona process failed to meet the expectations and to reach the respective targets. Why? Why this failure? Why these noble goals didn't work? In a nutshell, few points. As regards the Lisbon strategy, the EU leadership failed to predict the impact of the financial markets operating without sufficient political oversight and without the proper mechanisms in place. The architecture of euro. It was already mentioned yesterday that monetary policy alone without economic policy was inadequate in dealing with the crisis. And, of course, certain countries, particularly in the south, did not implement the required reforms to comply with the Eurozone rules. At the same time, At the same time, the European institutions were not successful, for reasons that were explained yesterday by Mario Monti, to monitor and enforce compliance, either with the southern countries or with the northern countries. As far as the Barcelona process is concerned, for years, the European Union tried to increase collaboration with soft policies. It was all this policy that Europe is just a soft power, so we put in place soft policies. And at the same time, we knew very well that the root causes of the major problems in the area were poverty, huge social inequalities, and the lack of freedom of expression. And these were all policy issues that could not be dealt just with soft policies. In contrast with what was said yesterday by my two esteemed co-commissioners, I do not see convincing signs that we overcome the crisis. Debts and unemployment in the Eurozone remain alarmingly high. And it is utopic, and it is utopic to believe that Europe can take the leading role in the Mediterranean area or elsewhere while it faces turbulence in its own fronts. So, with this geopolitical and economic context, let me offer in today's discussions 3 directions. Just in titles, put an order in our home, assisting our neighbors, and making a common plan for the future. And I think this is the agenda of the new comers, the new leadership in Europe. First, put an order in our house. The stabilization of Euro-Mediterranean countries. Almost all Mediterranean countries, with the Euro-Mediterranean countries, with the exception of Malta, are facing to one degree or the other their own crisis. There is no way for effective cooperation. No cooperation can flourish while the danger of destabilization exists. Just to say a word about my country, Greece, I would like to point a contradiction. Greece is irreversibly Eurozone's weakest link. Athens is at the same time gaining an important geopolitical role as the sole anchor of stability in the Eastern Mediterranean. We can see what is going in this neighborhood, from Turkey to Syria and to Lebanon, and the new problems in Israel. Athens, despite its problems, appears as the only stable point of reference in Eastern Mediterranean in these days. In case that the country is destabilized, for whatever reason, there are big internal problems. It is the first time that there is a dangerous Nazi party in Greece, which is about 10%, social arrest, or another discussion for Grexit. The repercussion would be a domino effect, not only in economic terms, but most importantly in geopolitical terms. So, first, stabilization of Euro-Mediterranean countries. Second, I think that it is very important, beyond the institutional building or the soft policies, to start work on a program of investment by private and public consortia for reconstruction of the basic infrastructure in the Mediterranean countries. And now it is the time, and it is a win-win situation for the economic society as well in Europe and in the other side of Mediterranean Sea. And the third idea, the third proposal, has to do with the energy issue. Multilateral agreement on energy resources management, it is needed. In southeastern Mediterranean, the discovery of new deposits of fossil fuels has the risk of causing war instead of prosperity. We need a regional multilateral plan on management of Mediterranean energy resources at a dual front, diplomatic and scientific. A necessary and sufficient condition in this respect is to respect the law of the sea from all the countries of the Mediterranean basin, which is not the case today. I concluded with these 3 thoughts, and thank you for your attention, and allow me just a small observation about the women issue. Coming from a very typical Mediterranean country, Greece, and being an activist and feminist when I was 20 years old, I have to confess that in this place of the world, in Mediterranean Sea, the birthplace of the biggest religions, of philosophies, of cultures, we cannot be proud of what we have achieved on the women issue the previous century, which was the women's century, comparing with the other parts of the world. Thank you.